Me personally, for a long time, one thing I've been saying is the wedding industry needs regulating. A wedding is a big day, so I can imagine that's why it's higher than normal makeup. But I think sometimes the pricing is just because they can. There is one service that I believe is worth the price. Hello gorgeous people, welcome back to the MoChunks Show and welcome to another installment of Chit Chat with Mo, where we have controversial debates, honest conversation, incredible guest stories and so much more. And in today's video, guys, we're going to be talking about, something that's kind of been trending on the internet recently. I've personally found it quite interesting to watch all the different perspectives and viewpoints surrounding this issue. We're talking about bridal makeup. Is it a scam? Is it not? Is it worth the price that a lot of these vendors are calling prices for, and so much more? Okay guys, let's get into this. So this whole thing as a trend was triggered by a makeup artist who got annoyed or was sharing on his socials about how annoyed he was that one of his clients lied to him and said they wanted Owambe makeup, that they were going to a party. Owambe means party in Yoruba. They wanted Owambe makeup for this party that they were going to, and later on he found out that was actually her wedding, and he got really mad about that. And this has led a lot of people to really be questioning. A lot of people have been questioning, I think, in the background before, but I think sometimes when a situation happens such as this, people have more confidence to really express their viewpoints. The common viewpoint that's been around this scenario and also other scenarios is that people feel as though bridal makeup is overpriced, as well as a lot of different things in the wedding industry. Me personally, for a long time, one thing I've been saying is the wedding industry needs regulating. It's not fair. Some of the prices, I'm like, oh my gosh. And as a customer or as a consumer, you want to be careful because you don't want to diminish anybody's worth or make anybody feel less than, or make anybody feel like their work is not worth the hype or worth the price that they're placing on it. And you also don't want to be that consumer or service user that is like making somebody have to explain the reasons for their pricing, because everybody has their price based on the service, years of experience, based on name or clout or whatever it may be, based on expertise, based on equipment that they're using, quality, everything. Everybody has a price and nobody should necessarily have to justify it. But however, I would say within Black communities, within Nigerian communities, I don't know what it's like in other communities. I have seen on TikTok where some Asian brides have come out and said, yo, some of these prices are ridiculous. But I'm talking about what I know and what I know very well. Within our communities, sometimes it just feels like some of the prices are the prices because they can. And because they know that people will want to pay for it because it's their wedding. Generally, beyond makeup, anything wedding is always like triple the price. The inflation is through the roof, especially post-COVID, where a lot of vendors are trying to remake their money back from when the pandemic shut things down. Even though we had like government incentives, government funding, even I personally as a business owner, I used to do videography a lot before the pandemic. I received self-employment income support. So even though the government supported us, some people are still trying to make their money back by overinflating even more, even though the wedding industry already needed regulating pre-pandemic. But post-pandemic, it has turned into something else because a lot of people are still trying to recover their money, even though the government may have given like 80% of your income or something. They want to recover that last 20%. And also with the price of things going up, I believe vendors too want to match it up and, you know, make everything go up. I think when you compare it to, okay, let's stick with bridal makeup, for example. When you compare bridal makeup to, for example, other communities, so I've seen some prices whereby just yesterday, someone on Twitter was saying that one of their white colleagues was quoted £500 for the bride and their bridesmaids. That kind of price within the black community, within like Nigerian communities. I don't know about Nigeria, but let's just say Nigerian diaspora, unheard of. Like that 500 is maybe if the bride wanted just a morning look, is what I'm hearing from when I was getting married, and also from like my friends kind of telling me their experience in the wedding industry currently. Like it seems like it's even gotten worse since I got married, and it feels like I said, that 500 around that time when I was getting married was like your morning makeup, or maybe like staying for like 4 hours or something like that. I do know that different makeup vendors have different tiers. So they might have the morning where you just get one look done. They might have like a refresh, like 4 hours, that kind of thing, change of look. They might be with you for the whole day. I very luckily know my babe, Stagey Rachel, and I know she nice to me, because on a normal day, those are not her prices. So I was very lucky in that regard that I didn't have to pay like the full on. But even then, I don't know about Deji's prices now, but back then I found that she was one of the sensible ones in terms of, Emma Shanu Ajay, like, you people, you don't need to collect all our money just for one day. And this is not to diminish any vendor's work. Again, a wedding is a huge day that both the vendors, they want their work to speak, they want it to be high quality, and also you, the consumer, you, the service user, they want you to be happy with what you've received for your wedding. So I can imagine those kind of things contribute to the pricing being a bit higher, the pressure to get it perfect for you on your special day so that you can look back at it in awe and just be happy that everything went perfect. The prep before, for example, with makeup, sometimes you do a bridal trial, skin prep, those kind of things that they advise you on to do before your wedding, choosing your look, everything. A wedding is a big deal. A wedding is a big day. So I can imagine that's why it's higher than normal makeup. But I think sometimes the pricing is just because they can. In regards to this particular makeup artist that did Owambe makeup for somebody and then got upset that he didn't get to charge more because it was her wedding, I think the scrutiny that he's been receiving is that if you did Owambe makeup and she said she was going for an Owambe and she used that for her wedding, why are you upset? And I was like, that's actually a valid point. Initially, I used to think, why would you try and pull the wool over somebody's eyes? But if you wanted Owambe style makeup, if the person wanted Owambe style makeup and you did Owambe style makeup, not bridal style makeup, why did you want to charge bridal prices? And I guess that also makes service users question, is it the same thing? That was another point that was being raised. Like, is it the same thing? Is it the same level or quality of makeup or service that's been offered? But because it's wedding, you're saying it's something different. I personally don't think it's the same thing. I think you glow differently on your wedding day, like differently. And I think that's because of joy, efforts from the bridal squad, bridal team. Perhaps they switch the quality of the products that they use. But again, with the Owambe one, it was confusing because you did Owambe makeup. Or did you? I think that's the question. Did you, or is it all the same thing? Even though I say you glow differently on your wedding day, in Nigeria, these makeup artists are killing it. As in, for wedding guests, you will be seeing the way they will be glowing. I think somehow, because makeup artists are trying to bring their A game to every booking, I think somehow everyone is starting to look the same. Bridal, friend of the bridal, Momo. I think it can be argued in some cases that it is all the same thing. That's not to say there aren't some vendors that use more higher quality stuff or higher quality products or whatever. But somehow, when you start seeing everybody looking the same, I can understand why people will be asking the question, is it the same thing? Like I said, beyond makeup, I do think the wedding industry it needs regulating, especially within the Black community, within Nigerian community, because wedding is such a big deal amongst us. It's interesting because, and this is not to put us down as a generation, but I think in comparison to other races and the wealth gap, as a race, we're still kind of catching up, some of us. So it's interesting that wealth-wise, we're still catching up, but wedding-wise, we're being expected to pay the most, and we're almost being exploited the most. I say that very, that's why I say exploited. Say that very carefully. We're being made to be somebody's cash cow, to kind of get money to somebody's pockets. Kind of reminds me of the crabs in the bucket mentality. I don't know how that kind of advances us as a community, if we're kind of almost robbing each other for one day in the name of business. You're offering a business. Like I said, it's not that the prices should be the same as standard services, but I think sometimes it's just like, like, why does somebody need to pay £1,000 for makeup for one day? Come on, like, am I reason there? Like, I guess it depends on the quality you want. It depends on the quality you want, but when things are no longer affordable and everything is inflated, like I'm listening to brides that are getting married this year, for example, and they're saying the prices they're hearing, they cannot believe it. Unless you have a plug like I did. Like, they cannot believe some of the prices that they're hearing. It's not that they're not willing to pay. They just weren't expecting to pay that much. Do you understand? And I think that's a pushback a lot of vendors do, is that you're not my customer, you're not my customer. Well, it's fair. Not everybody may be able to afford you, but where are the affordable ones? I don't know. It's a very interesting thing. Whilst I say I think the wedding industry needs regulating, there is one service that I believe is worth the price every time. Depending on the quality you want, you go to who offers what you want, and that is videography. Videography and photography, but mostly videography. That one is a skill and a half. And not only is it a skill and a half, videography doesn't stop on the day in terms of the service. It continues after the wedding. Photographers and videographers are one of the only vendors that after the wedding, they still continue working. So sometimes, it's not even sometimes, all the time, people might say I'm biased because I used to do videography, but even if I didn't, I can easily recognize that after the wedding, they're still working. Maybe even like cake makers, because they start working before. You could argue that, makeup artists do trial, but then they charge for the trial as well, mind you. They charge for the trial, but I would say videography, photography, worth it every single time based on what you want. And I think with those ones, there's always tiers, because there's always people that are starting out and people that are medium tier, higher tier, or whatever. You can't say you want Marv Brown to do your wedding for £500, call it work. I don't know how much he charges, but I'm pretty damn sure he charges his worth. Or what's the name of that guy in America? There's one that does a lot of Ghanaian weddings. I can't remember his name right now. Maybe I'll put it on the screen. But you can't expect those ones to be charging you 500 or 800. But yeah, even then, when makeup starts to be the same price as your videography, I'm like, oh no, this is giving me a headache. So my question to you guys is, what are your thoughts on the prices of wedding makeup? Do you think wedding makeup or bridal makeup is a scam? Do you think generally the wedding industry needs regulating in terms of being more affordable for the average person? Is this more of a problem within the Black community or within African communities such as Nigerian communities? Or is this across the races? Do white people also have to deal with, hikes in wedding prices, impertinence to makeup and other kinds of vendors? Let me know in the comment section down below. And that's all I really have for you guys today in terms of Chit Chat with Mo. Do make sure you like this if you liked it, share it with your friends, comment below on the things I spoke about, and subscribe to this channel for more. Until next time, guys, peace and love, peace and chunks.